going to go ahead and get started now. So thanks for everyone that dropped a couple questions in here, a bunch of really great ones I'm excited to answer. Absolutely love talking about travel for all you guys that know me. And so let's go ahead and start with this list. At the end of the TikTok live session, we will go ahead. I have a computer right in front of me where we'll do the random selection to see who the two people are that each win one of my workbooks, which is everything that I know about traveling the world all in one guide. All right, so the first one on here is from Lusty Lens. What inspires you to travel? It's a really good question. Yeah, I started traveling years ago when I studied abroad in Spain. Absolutely fell in love with the people I met, the cultural experiences, being able to come up with my own stereotypes. You know, wherever you're born, wherever you're from, you're gonna hear things that, you know, you didn't make the opinion, that's just the stereotype. And so my favorite thing about traveling is just I get to make my own opinions on everything, and I meet other people that love to travel as well and have some of the best relationships of my life from that. So that's probably number one reason. I could give you a million other reasons what inspires me to travel, but just every aspect of it for sure. I'm sure most of you guys can relate to that as well. So the next one here is from Kitty Shea. How can you afford to make travel happen? Yeah, so that's a really good question. Probably one of the most common questions I'm asked. So yeah, I'm pretty much an average dude that wanted to travel the world. And so what I did was I had college debt like a lot of people do. And I was like, well, I need to go into the corporate world right after I graduate, save some money, pay off my student loans, and then I'm going to go ahead and travel. So I figured out how much money I can save up, and hopefully one day I can build a career out of online social media. And so that was my whole master plan for many years. And honestly, I had to have a lot of patience because I wanted to do it right away, but I also wanted to have the financial freedom. So I worked really hard at my corporate job, and I was able to, you know, move up in the company and, you know, therefore make a little bit more money to save up for traveling. And so fast forward to almost 1 year ago today, August 23rd of last year is when I left my job and started traveling. Obviously, it slowed down a little bit with the pandemic, but it's more time for things like TikTok and sharing other travel tips, so I can't complain at the moment. But ongoing now, yeah, there's many different ways you can make money online as a social media creator, whether it's through YouTube ad revenue, whether it's through partnerships with brands, whether it's doing freelance work for photography or videography. Really, the list goes on. And when we're not even talking about social media content creation, I mean, there's online web businesses, there's drop shipping. There is so many different ways you can make money online. If you've ever used like Upwork or Fiverr, if you have additional skills, like whether it's making PowerPoints, editing videos, whatever it might be, you can actually sell your skills on there and make money and work wherever you want in the world. So it's really up to you how creative you want to get with it, but I guarantee each and every one of you has a great skill you could offer online and make money off it if that was something you wanted to go after. All right, we have my buddy Jay Showdown here. My travel questions are a lot, but how would you avoid being scammed abroad? Yeah, that's a really good question. Reason being is there's many different ways you can get scammed abroad, and it really varies on wherever you go. So my number one thing is that if I'm going to a place, I'm going to do a little bit of research on it. I've been scammed, so let me first put this disclaimer. I love India. It's one of my favorite places I've been. That said, though, it is one of the places I got scammed before I started taking the advice that I would give now, which is research what are the local scams or hacks, because in some places that simply happens. It happens in the United States. It happens in pretty much every country in the world. There's scams happening. So you need to take that extra step. What are the common scams? For my scam, they played it off perfectly. And when I mean perfectly, we were completely believed. We weren't in any risk, like any dangerous situation or anything, but we were catching a train super early in the morning to go from like New Delhi to Agra or Jaipur, somewhere near the Taj Mahal. And it was maybe 4 or 5 in the morning. We were trying to figure out where we were going. And obviously it was myself, my brother and cousin and I who stood out very much from the Indian population. And so some guys came up to us and were like, hey, yeah, this train route is actually canceled, but don't worry guys, we know exactly how we can get you there. Like, we help people all the time. We work at the train station. You know, we're really nice people, and they totally seemed like they were there to help us out. Long story short was they ended up bringing us over to their shop, which was like a few miles away, and they were trying to make us pay $500 for them to drive us down there, which would have been $1.50 train ride. And we were like, okay, no way, we're not going to pay this. We'll just change our trip. I mean, I was 21 years old at the time in college, so I didn't have any money, even in a low cost of living place like India. And so every dollar counted. So I wasn't about to just be like, yeah, sure, $500, let's do it. So we later figured it out that it was a scam, and it was a really common one. And had we looked it up online in advance, we would have known that. So that's a big takeaway for you guys, is look it up in advance. It'll only take you 2 minutes to search common scams in X city, and it's already going to put you one step ahead of some of those common things. Hope that answers your question, Jay Showdown. So Jason Tai Hune, and I apologize if I butcher anyone's handles here. I'm doing my best. How many rewards cards can I open and cancel? Signed up for Delta, AA, Marriott, and Marriott to capture the sign-up bonus, but plan to drop the Delta. Yeah, really good question. I've been doing the whole travel rewards cards for probably almost 10 years now. Right when I turned 18, I got my first credit card. Luckily, I had an older brother who taught me the ways early on. He would tell me he flies for free, and I was like, no, dude, you're lying. There's no way you fly for free all the time. You're always on an airplane. And yeah, sure enough, he taught me the ways on using credit cards to your advantage. Credit cards have a really bad name because, unfortunately, if you aren't careful, you can end up in debt. So my tips are only valid if you're paying off your balances in full. And so that should always be your number one goal if you're considering getting into the credit card, travel hacking, whatever they want to call, the whole points game. So get those balances down to zero and make sure you can pay them off in full. Step one. Step two is open up a few cards, not all at once, but you'll want to have around 3 to 4 cards that you keep open permanently. Because the way your credit breaks down is there's a big portion about making your payments on time. It's about how much credit you're given versus how much you're swiping. So if you have a $10,000 limit and you're putting $6,000 on there a month, that's going to affect it because your utilization of credit is very high. So yeah, absolutely, always pay them off. I completely agree. Julie, always, yeah. The whole points game is worthless if you're paying interest, because interest, I mean, credit card companies are giving these amazing benefits, unfortunately, because there are a lot of people that have like 20 to 25% interest rates. I mean, that's massive. The points are not worth it if you plan on carrying a balance. So please take that to heart. So yeah, guys, where I was at with the question though was, what should this person do with those cards? That is, so my strategy is, if you already have opened, let's say, 1 no annual fee card, perfect. You should get 3 no annual fee cards that you just keep open forever. Now, if the first 3 cards you open aren't all no annual fee, you can do one of a few different things. You can call up, so let's take the Chase Sapphire Reserve, for example. If you just didn't want to pay that fee anymore, you can call up Chase and be like, hey, I don't want another credit inquiry on my account, but if you can go ahead and change my account over to a no annual fee account. You obviously lose the benefits of the Chase Sapphire Reserve, but you now have a no annual fee card. So 3 to 4 cards that you can just keep open, make a purchase here and there, and that's going to keep your average age of credit in good standing. And that way you can cycle and open and close other cards. Take a quick break and see what the question is here. Don't forget Chase 524 rule. Yeah, that's a really good point. So if you guys don't know what Chase 524 rule is, what that means is you can only open up 5 new cards in the last 24 months. So keep in mind, Chase is one of the best, personally in my opinion, after having probably 20-something credit cards in my life, and I've tried out most of the top cards, Chase overall usually has the best rewards for you. So that said, you got to be very careful that you're not opening up more than 5 cards in 24 months, because if Chase drops a new awesome product, you might not be able to hop on board. And I'll tell you, for any of you guys that hopped on the Chase Sapphire Reserve when it first came out, $1,500 sign-up bonus when you open up the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. Now it's down to $750, but my point with all of that is, if you had opened up more than 5 cards right when that new Chase card came opened, you wouldn't be eligible to open it until one of those inquiries fell off your account. Next question from Jay Showdown: would you cancel CC later, or the bank will close it? Yeah, most banks that I've dealt with do not close cards. There's some cards that I simply just don't make purchases on very often. Just some of my first cards I've had since I was 18, like a Discover card with a $0 annual fee. I think it was a student card. Sometimes I'll make a purchase once every 2 years on it, and they've never closed it. I have heard that some banks will close them. It just hasn't happened to me personally. truth in what he's saying right now. Thank you. Love Chase also. Cool. Yeah, so if you have any more questions on the credit cards, please just drop them in the comments. I'm going to continue going through the list here. And let me just make sure I finish this question. So signed up for Delta, AA, and Marriott to capture the sign-up bonus, but plan to drop Delta. So Jason, yeah, you could either keep that Delta card and just give them a call and change it over, or yeah, you can close it if you have your at least 3 cards you're keeping open long term. All right, Casey Caputo 17, window or aisle seat? Well, I love making videos, and a video is not complete from my trip if I didn't take a video from the window seat, and I love the window seat because it's my own little pod. So good question. Congrats on 20K. Thank you. A user 3, 6, and a bunch of numbers. How do you deal with time changes while working and traveling? So good question. This applies if you have to worry about time changes. So me personally, I run my own business, so time changes just work on however I need them to, and I just schedule. If I need to stay up late, then I do that. But let's say you're someone you want to be a digital nomad, whereas most of us that are, most of you guys that might be in the corporate world still, probably the majority of you on here, if your job allows it, or if your career type allows it, you're able to work from home now. So just 6 months ago when I wrote this book, I put in a bunch of strategies on how you can convince your employer to be able to work remote if they don't support that lifestyle, if they don't understand it, because a lot of companies just hadn't gotten there. But the silver lining with the pandemic is now a lot of these companies were forced to figure out how to work like that. So as soon as the pandemic's, at a place where it's pretty much over and traveling can start up again, you'll have the perfect case. You'll have, whether it's a couple months, a couple years worth of time where you've said, look, I've been a successful employee working remote already from home. Why does it matter if I'm in Bali? Why does it matter if I'm in South America? Of course, I'm going to make sure I have Wi-Fi. Let's just come to an agreement on we're going to do deadlines 24 hours before, so that way I can work in the time zone, my 9 to 5 where I'm at in Bali, so I don't have to work in the middle of the night to be on the USA East Coast time zone. So if you come to an agreement like that, that's going to put you in the best situation. The most important thing though is set those expectations in advance. Let your boss know if you're going to an area where the Wi-Fi is not going to be good. If you make sure you have the strong communication while you're working remote, while you're in another time zone, while you might face some of these challenges that people do when they're working and traveling, as long as you have that communication, you're going to set yourself that much further ahead in terms of, a good positive relationship with your employer. Got a question here. I2iMedia, is these cards available in Canada? Yeah, here's the thing. I have a lot of international friends that always ask these types of questions. To be honest, here's the light and dark side to the United States. They give credit for everything. That's why there's a huge debt problem. A lot of other countries don't have that same debt problem on a personal basis because they don't give all of the credit. So credit card companies are able to offer these insanely good programs for the reason being that they're making all of this money off people that are unfortunately not able to pay their debts off in full every single month. So basically, long story short, to answer your question, you can take a look and see if you can find some deals. I know some credit card companies are trying to do some sort of rewards programs in other countries. They're just simply not as lucrative from my experience. All right, next one here is from Julie Maui. Why do you think I can book holidays in England cheaper than here in the USA? Yeah, that's a really good question. One thing I've noticed, because I used to work for a European grocery company by the name of Lidl before I quit to travel the world. And what our company would do is we would actually book flights round trip from Europe back to the US, even though we were US employees. Because for some reason, when you're booking from Europe to the US and then back to Europe, it's cheaper than if you're booking US to Europe back to US. If I were to guess off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure I was told a while ago that it has something to do with the extra taxes from like 9/11 and things like that. But don't necessarily quote me on that. I would fact check that. But yeah, that is very common that you're going to find flights within Europe, like Ryanair, all of those other deep discount airlines are going to be much cheaper. And then flying to the US and then back to Europe is also going to be cheaper. All right, the next question here, J plus R10. How do you plan financially for a 3+ month trip? Well, let me just answer this question here. Shoot, did you go in order with these questions on the video? I think I missed your answer. Let me double check. No, I didn't get to yours yet. I'm going from the top down and maybe it just shows it a little bit differently. Next one here, able to get good deals from the USA and we have great deals in the UK. Yeah, right now the USA has really great deals, but obviously it's not the best time to travel unless you have essential travel. Obviously take advantage of the deals if you have to travel. Check the TikTok I made, google.com/flights using the Explore tool. If you have to fly somewhere, that's going to get you the absolute best deal. So let me just go back to what I was just about to answer here. J plus R10, how do you financially plan for a 3+ month trip? Yeah, so really good question. I cover that in my Nomac method. I have actually a full video you can check out on my YouTube channel for free. If you go to my link in bio, worldnomac.com, you can actually find I have a full course on everything you need to know to travel the world full time. And I have a module on how you save up money. And I also have in there Excel spreadsheets you can download that can help you figure out what you think it's going to cost you. Because I break it down into 3 different ways oh, thanks for the concert, I like that. 3 different ways that I have broken down the differences in cost of living for countries. So I have low cost of living countries, which is like Southeast Asia, South America. Then I have like mediocre cost of living countries, which is going to be like Portugal, Spain, some other South American countries. And then I have your high cost of living countries, which are going to be like New Zealand, Norway, I would argue is even its next level bracket, but New Zealand, Australia, United States. So those are all categorized. And then so I have a formula that helps you figure out, and this is all for free too, not my book, but the travel course and the downloadable Excel spreadsheet. You can go download that right now if you want and use that. It's super, super helpful. And coming from me who did all of this based on estimated calculations and research, it was almost spot on, give or take 10% off when I actually traveled and then compared it to the cost versus my estimates. So I think you'll be quite happy that it gives you a really good idea of what it's going to cost you to travel the world. But yeah, to answer the question though, rambled on a little bit, but I figured the backstory might be helpful for you guys. But to answer the question here though, plan what you need to save up first. So check the box on I need to save up X thousands of dollars for 3 months of travel. Depending on where you go, you can go to Southeast Asia for $3,000. If you're okay with staying in hostels, living a little bit cheaper, eating a bit of street food, you can make it happen for really cheap. So that's step 1, is to figure out the cost, then plan your trip and do it. All right, got a comment here. Tommy Shu, what's going on, Tommy Shu? So Tommy, you probably might have seen him in some of the TikToks. We went on a 21-day road trip where this is, in my opinion, probably the best way if you do want to travel right now and you want to make sure that you're not running into issues in the pandemic. Doing an RV trip is one of the best ways. We had a small little group where, when we were in public, we were pretty much by ourselves. And, obviously there's some people on the trail, but you maintain your distance. So it's a overall safe way to travel at the moment. If you can avoid the airplanes, that's better. But we had an amazing 21-day road trip exploring the western side of the United States. So many amazing national parks to explore, hike, and see. And the nice part is, since COVID, there's nothing nice about COVID, but trying to look at the silver lining of the situation right now is at least some of the national parks don't have as many national or international visitors right now, so they're a little bit more to yourself at the moment. Discover South America, very high valuable information. Congratulations. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I2I Media, is travel safe in these COVID days? I mean, yeah, like I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I think it's quite unsafe for the most part. But if you're going out in nature with just a small little tight-knit group, that's going to be the people you're almost quarantined with in nature, I would say, in my opinion, that's your safest way to travel. But the CDC does not recommend it, so it's really up to you if that's a risk you want to take. But definitely take the precautions. You don't want to risk getting someone else sick because it's not fair to them. Julie Maui, my hubby and I did a road trip last year for 3 months. I love your sense of adventure. Yeah, road trips are so much fun, and for 3 months, that is amazing. Love that, Julie. Discover your South America. Sorry. Besides China, do you have to make quarantine in any other country in Asia? Yeah, there's actually only, I'm not entirely sure where you're from, but just for me, for example, I'm from the United States. I think there's only 10 countries out of 196 recognized nations that I could get into at the moment. Some of those you need to show up either with a negative COVID test, and then you also, or some of them might even make you do a 14-day quarantine with that test too. So it really depends on where you go. You got to look into the guidelines if you want to take the risk. But once again, the CDC doesn't recommend it. So next one here, easy moments. Do you think it's possible to hitchhike a flight? Well, I think the short answer is commercial flights, there's not a single chance, but maybe you're in some remote area that has a bunch of, tiny little puddle jumper airplanes and you meet somebody and you want to convince them to hop on a plane, maybe. Would I recommend it? Probably not, but if you think it's a good idea, go for it, my friend. All right, Gloom Scum. How can you be a full-time traveler and still have an income? Yeah, so that's a good question here. How can you be a traveler? I somewhat touched on this. So there's two ways to be a full-time traveler. You can either save up money and just travel and you can be fully focused on it, or you can be a full-time traveler / digital nomad. So whether you're working for a company or you start your own business, that's where your income stream's coming. But you're able to be a full-time traveler because you can work remote from wherever you want. All right, let me make sure I don't miss any of these here. And Julie, and we didn't kill each other. Yeah, that's when you're on those long road trips, you guys can definitely get on each other's nerves. I can definitely relate from situations I've been in for really long road trips. All right, I2iMedia, best place to visit overseas. That is a very tough question to answer, my friend, because the thing is overseas there are so many places to explore. People ask me what's my least favorite and most favorite country. I find a reason to like every single country, to be honest. Some I like more than others, without a doubt. But I like India for just being a culture shock for me. That was one of the first places I had a huge culture shock. I like New Zealand, Iceland, and Australia for really amazing natural beauty. Bora Bora is a really beautiful spot to explore. And then I love Thailand. I mean, Thailand's like a place I could live. I really love the culture there. Everything's, very inexpensive. The scenery's beautiful. The cliffs, the landscapes. I could talk about it for hours. Julie Maui, my friend just went to Bulgaria last week and she took a letter with her saying she was COVID free, so she doesn't have to quarantine. Yeah, so that's a good way. My brother and my cousin, they actually went to Croatia 3 weeks ago for business. My brother's business, depends on, he still has to travel during this time, and so he had to show up to Croatia with a proof of negative COVID test. All right, so congratulations. Thank you, Julie. Liam.xz, how do you get health insurance? Yeah, so when I was still working, I did when I was still at my corporate job and I had insurance, I made sure to get all my dental checkups. I made sure to get all my physical checkups, kind of just make sure I was good to go health-wise. And then when I started traveling, I switched over to a company called World Nomads, and sounds very similar to World Nomad. You would think that's where I got it from, actually, but I didn't, ironically. But I happen to love World Nomads insurance, and basically it's this dude that started. He was a full-time traveler, and he started this insurance company. So he totally took travel insurance to the next level. It covers way more things, like more adventurous things. It covers your stuff. Like I travel with camera gear and stuff. You can't see it, but right in front. So I need to have a really good insurance policy when it comes to that, and they're affordable. But keep in mind, travel insurance is more reactionary. It doesn't usually cover proactive. Like you can't do a dental checkup and get covered for it. Now, if you knock your tooth out and it falls within their guidelines, you can probably get covered for it. But read the fine print with whatever travel insurance company you go after. That's really important, because you don't want to end up in one of those situations where you thought you were covered and you weren't. Wow, that is going to be an amazing trip. I2iMedia, what do you think of jet sharing concept? Jet sharing concept, I am going to take a guess at what I think that is, and if it is, then I like it. If I'm wrong, just let me know that it's something else. So I've gotten a lot of targeted ads on Facebook for jet sharing, where basically private jet owners will turn their private jets into, you can book a seat on that airline. I've never taken it. Some of those ads claim that they're the same price as flying commercial, but you get a private jet experience. I've never tried it, but if that's actually possible, that's pretty cool. All right, so Josie Marie 1021, where's the safest place to stay if you're a female traveling alone in the States but also overseas? Ooh, that is a tough question, I'm not gonna lie, because it's not necessarily that easy to answer. Rather than the toughest place, I'm gonna answer it maybe in a different way. I hope you don't mind. I don't know if you saw in my last live stream, but I talked a lot about ways that you can mitigate running into risks, safety risks. And so there's a few different things you can do. Number one is, for example, if you're from the United States, you can sign up for this program called the STEP program. It's completely free, it's ran by the government, and basically you register in there all the places you're going and what time period. That way, if a natural disaster happens in that country, terrorism, some big event where they need to know you're in the country, the embassy will know to reach out to you. They'll have your contact information and they'll be able to help you in a time of this disaster. And so that's kind of your first line of defense and a high level safety plan. Then number two is being informed. So I actually started reading these travel guidebooks like The Lonely Planet. I used to think they were just like touristy, blah, blah, blah crap. But then I was sitting in my Airbnb in Buenos Aires, had a little bit of time, didn't want to go and explore yet because I just got off the plane. And so popped it open, read through it, and I found a bunch of interesting stuff. Some of the super touristy stuff I skimmed through, but I found a lot about, safety concerns. I found out a lot about, things to do. I found out culture things, things that you should and shouldn't talk about, just things that were really helpful for me to better assimilate in the culture. And that helped in many different ways, not only from a safety perspective, but also from talking to locals there and immediately making a much stronger bond because I took the time to learn more about their culture. That, that gives them a huge smile, and they immediately respect you even more because they know you care about their culture. So, yeah, that's kind of like high level from safety. Be informed about where you go first and take some of those steps. But when it goes to where you're staying at, also, if you're traveling alone, you should have someone, like one or two people that have your itinerary, have a general idea of where you're going to be. Personally, I have a bunch of people that I share my GPS location so they can track where I am at any time. I have nothing to hide. I'm not trying to... Still recording. I'm recording it on the camera above this right now, so anyone that wasn't able to join can see it on my YouTube channel. Oh, hey neighbor, I'm in Michigan. Awesome, love the Midwest. Love Michigan too. Michigan is a great place to be, especially in the summer too. I've been meaning to get over there. I have a bunch of friends over there that have been showing me all these cool places to explore. Julie, hostels are a great place to meet new friends. Absolutely, yeah, such a great place. All right, so user 36 and a million other numbers. Best way to optimize miles when you need nonstop. Best way to optimize, sorry, this is written kind of weird. Best way to optimize miles when you need nonstop. Oh, okay. And are all over. It's very tough to stick with one airline. Yeah, it really depends. If you have the time to basically do connections, if that's going to give you your, cheapest miles redemption, then do that. But if you, prefer those non-stop flights, it might cost you more in points. Personally, my flight booking strategy changes with almost every flight. Because here's the thing, I open up new credit cards and cycle through, so I build up a lot of points. But I look at my points the same way I look at money. So right now I have a few 100,000 points, probably at all given times in my frequent flyer airline miles. But I just booked a flight the other day for an East Coast road trip that I'm doing, and I could have used points, but it was cheaper for me for what I believe my points are worth to just pay $50 for a round trip flight over to Boston. So I went and, kept my points because, in my opinion, from all of the research I've done and all of the flights that I've booked, using your points that you save up for international flights are worth so much more. For example, I went to Australia last year, which was a $1,500 one-way flight on American Airlines. I used 40,000 points. Some of the flights that I checked that are $200 to get, to Los Angeles and back from DC, where I used to live, that would be 20,000 each way. So that $250 flight would have cost 40,000 points, or that $1,500 flight that I went to Australia on was free for me. So that is always my go-to. I pay in cash for those. and pay in cash for usually domestic flights, and then then I use my points for international. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any of these here. All right, the 30 goods. How did you get to support all your travels financially? Do you get sponsors on your vlogs? Yeah, I'm going to answer this one a little bit quicker because we did kind of talk about this, and I don't want to repeat myself too much on this one. But yeah, in short, I saved up in my corporate job for years before I knew I wanted to become a full-time traveler. So my step one was to save up enough money so I could go after a passion. Like doing all the social media content creation, I just love doing, because I really enjoy helping people travel. I enjoy exploring the world, kind of all the above. And so I wanted to save up enough money so I wouldn't have to depend on my hobby for an income at first. And then during that time, I was going to get better at content creation, vlogging, all different things related to it that you can make money. And so in that time, I could use some of my savings in order to spend that time so I can become really good at my passion and turn that into a monetizable stream. And so ways you make money out of it is YouTube ad revenue. You make money off brand partnerships. So let's say I'm wearing some shirt in a video. They're going to give you either free products or they're going to give you compensation for displaying their brand. I sell all of my stock drone footage. So whenever I go places, I almost repurpose the footage that I make for my vlogs. I then take all of my stock footage, and I have this guy who runs a small little company where he edits all of that and he puts it on websites where people can buy that stock. And so the idea is to set up a bunch of passive income streams, because in reality, one of the best parts about traveling the world is the freedom. How do you get freedom? Well, you save up money to do it, or you can build passive income streams. So those are some of the best ways to do it. Do you get sponsors on your vlogs? Some, to be honest, YouTube is a very saturated market, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not super easy today to build a following. But that said, if you're trying to build your YouTube channel and social media channels because you love doing it, that's different than trying to build it because you want free hotel stays or free products. And so if you go into it with that, people are going to trust you more because you're going to be making all your content from your heart, and you're going to give very valuable stuff. You're going to love doing it, and it's going to show for it. And so that's going to be step number one. Make the content that's great, and brand partnerships will come from there. So I've gotten a couple sponsors on some of my vlogs. I would like to get some more, but I'm very selective because early on I did more of, hey, here's free products in exchange for being on my vlogs. Then I stopped that. Now I only do financial compensation because you're giving them a lot of recognition. With brands, a lot of new creators, they just want to jump on any brand deal they can get immediately just because they're able to get paid or get something free. And that sets the bar way lower, but you're giving these companies massive exposure. And so you got to make sure that you are doing deals that you're worth. You built your own reputation, and so you need to make sure that you're getting compensated accordingly for it. Josie, summers here are the best. Heading up to Charlevoix, I probably just said that wrong, and Patriot Rocks in the next couple of weeks. That sounds amazing. Enjoy that. Post a TikTok on it and send it over. I'd love to see it. Would you prefer when travel abroad, hostel or Airbnb? Yeah, it depends. If I'm traveling with a group of people, I'll probably want to do an Airbnb, but if I'm traveling on my own and I want to meet people, a hostel, or I'll kind of interchange it. I don't really have a preference, but if, let's say I want to go somewhere and I want to work on my business for 7 days straight, I might go to an Airbnb so I can have full focus and dedication. Traveling to other countries, learning to say please and thank you in their languages goes a long way. Julie, you are so right on that. Those little things are so meaningful to people. And whether it's please and thank you, whether it's hey, how are you in their language, they know you're not going to be able to speak in it, but they are, in their language fully, but they are going to light up and be so happy that you at least tried. Unless you're in Paris, then they're not going to be. I love Paris, but they're going to shut you down when you try and speak French to them. It's kind of funny. Yes, I was shocked. I'm in DC and it's $169 to Boston. Yeah, that's expensive. I just paid $50 round trip. Smart decisions. Can you travel alone at 15? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know the laws about minors if you can travel alone. I think you might have been the one to ask that question, which we haven't gotten to yet. When it comes to international, I think that's going to vary by every country. You got to look up the local regulations if you can get in. just take some of those safety tips if that's what you're going to do. You know, that's entirely up to you if you feel safe to travel at that age. I think probably when I was at that age, I probably felt like I was safe enough to travel, but when I was 15, I probably maybe went to Texas once, and that's about all I traveled. All right, the good's cool with Spence. What's up, bro? How's it going, man? How do you decide on content during pandemic when travel is a bit restricted? Yeah, good question. To be honest, at first it was a bit of a struggle, because it was just, I went from making travel content in all the places I visited, and then all of a sudden I was just back in Wisconsin, not traveling at all. And so I had to get creative at first, and that's when I actually designed my whole course on how you can travel the world, where I have once you guys take a look at it, you'll see that it's 20 videos online that you guys get for free, and there's probably 100 attachments on there that will help you guys on every question you need to know. And I worked with this girl that works on my team, Dedalina, and we created the ultimate 83-page workbook, which literally will give you a step-by-step instruction on how you can transition your life to become a full-time world traveler. And so that's how I transitioned my content. And then now I'm doing a little bit more domestic travel, road trips. I feel I'm taking the right precautions, so I'm okay with doing it during the pandemic, because I'm in nature where I'm not really near anybody. It's just, unfortunately, when I do have to go on the plane, that's the only risk I do have, but I'm being as safe as possible and taking the precautions. With Spence, love your travel tips, hoping to use them in the future so I can work as a freelance photographer. Awesome, man. I'm rooting you on. It's amazing. Make your dreams reality. I know you can do it. And if you absolutely love being a photographer in general, that's going to show in your passion. Julie, I met a 16-year-old in Costa Rica from Sweden in a hostel. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So Europeans, on average, I will say they travel at a much younger age than I'd say on average like Americans are in Europe. So you'll meet a lot of younger travelers. So for whoever's question that was, sorry, I can't remember who commented that. I would look into the local regulations where you're going, and that should help you out. All right. I have a couple more questions on here. Can you travel alone internationally okay, that's the question right here. Yeah, the last one. Can you travel alone internationally as a 15-year-old? So check those guidelines. And hey, see you, Spence. Thanks for being on here. And then, missed one here. Cancer sucks 07. I agree with your screen name. That's very true. Cancer's horrible. How do you pack a boatload in a carry-on? That is a great question, and I even planned in advance how I'm going to show you. So I was introduced to these things about a year ago. So if you don't know what these are packing cubes, and these things, they're a game changer for so many reasons. Anyone that's on here right now that's used packing cubes, you'll know exactly what I mean. So you get a bunch of these, and you put your socks in one, you put your pants in the other, you put shirts in the other. And now if you think about when you had a suitcase just loaded with all your clothes, at first you fold it, you roll everything up, you make it look so nice in there. All of a sudden you get to your first destination, pop open your suitcase because you want to get down to the beach. You grab your swimsuit at the bottom, you mess everything up. The next day you're traveling to your next place and you're like, oh shoot, I got to put all my stuff. Long story short, your clothes are wrinkled up. They're just all over everywhere. You're basically sitting on your suitcase to close it. These things are a game changer because now they're all zipped up. You just basically take the cubes out, take the cube that you want, open it up, grab your swimsuit out and put the cubes back in, and it is super simple. Not to mention, you can get ones that are actually vacuum sealed too, so we're talking you can flatten them even more. So there's a couple different options. If anyone wants to check those out, go on my website. I have all of the travel gear that I use. If you go on my, you can go on worldnomad.com, click on helpful information, and you'll see that I have all of my travel gear, and you can check out the links there. I have every piece of equipment that I use that has been super helpful, and I'll tell you, I've tried out so many different things to find out the best products, just because the 2 suitcases and the backpack I bring with me are my whole home and life. So I do try and find the best quality products for it. I love those things. Yep, me too. Life changer. You seriously get more stuff in your suitcase using those. Mine are pink. Love that. Yep, super stylish too. All right, guys. So that is all of the questions right now. I'm actually going to open up. I have my computer down here. I'll grab the phone and show you guys in just a second. So what I do to select the winner for these books is to be as completely fair as possible, I use a website that randomly selects someone. So I've already put every single person that commented. If you commented in here, but you didn't comment on my post, unfortunately you didn't make it. You had to comment on my post. So I have everyone's screen names in here. I'm just setting up my screen record at the moment, so when I put it on the YouTube channel, they can see it as well. But I'm gonna grab the phone. All right, so as you can see here, I've got everyone's names, or screen names here. So we're gonna do a random selection. So first one is, the winner is Jason. All right, so Jason is the first winner. I'm gonna screenshot that one. And then you can't win twice, so I'm taking Jason out. All right, and then pick a random name here. All right, and the second winner is Liam. So, yeah, sorry for everyone that didn't win, and congratulations to the 2 people that did win. I appreciate everyone's comments. I love hopping on these live sessions and talking to you guys about travel questions. I love talking travel in general, so you know, it's a pleasure to have a group that loves to talk about this type of stuff. If you guys have any more questions, drop them now, and I'll stay on here for another minute or two. But yeah, just give me another probably 2-3 weeks. I'll do another live stream, and I'm gonna do them once every 10,000 new followers. I'm gonna give away my book for free. If any of you guys do want to get my book in the meantime, you have either the opportunity to win it next time, or you can go ahead and purchase it. Definitely please check it out. Even if you don't want to pay for it, I specifically made this course 20 videos so you can take your own notes and have access to all the resources if you don't want to pay anything for them. So the good news is there's a free option, as always. But let me just check to see if there's any other final questions. Congrats to the winners. Thank you all for your help. Absolutely. Jay Davey, how do you have the money to do this? Well, this TikTok live stream doesn't cost me any money. How do you have the money to live this life? I'm sorry, I'm holding my phone while trying to read this. Yeah, I saved up in the corporate world so I could go after my passion, which is creating content and helping inspire others to travel the world. It's really been one of my most favorite things because travel's made me who I am. And had I not had my older brother as an inspiration, I don't know if I would have gotten into travel. And so ever since I realized how blessed I was that I had an older brother that really showed me the ropes and got me into traveling, I knew that I wanted to create content and be that person if someone doesn't have a sibling or friend that can show them, help them with tips and things like that for traveling. So it's you know, it's work that I love doing, but I plan that in advance, and I do this because I love it and I love to help people. So that's #1 reason to do it, and I recommend anyone that wants to get into this line of work should have a similar reasoning. Jay Showdown, congrats for the winners, and as I said always, thanks for everything you do for the help. It's my pleasure. Great stuff. Keep it up. Be safe. Thank you. What's your name? I can't seem to find it. My name's Mac Candy. Yeah, I guess on my TikTok I only have World No Mac. Yeah, Mac Candy with 2 E's at the end, not a Y. So yeah, guys, thanks for everyone that joined on the live stream. It was a lot of fun answering all your questions, and look forward to seeing you guys on the next live stream. And I hope you all have an amazing weekend and enjoy the sunshine if you have sunshine like we do here in Wisconsin. All right, guys, see you later. All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up the live stream. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to do these live streams pretty often and post them on YouTube for anyone that wants to check them out. It's been awesome doing these live streams because there's so many questions that people have that I love to answer because I have had the opportunity to experience a lot of these different travel methods, ways of saving money, ways of building credit card points, all of these things that I know will be helpful for you. So guys, if this is your first time on my channel, my name's Mac Candy and I'm a full-time world traveler, except right now I'm not because it's the pandemic, so I'm living back in Wisconsin. But once the pandemic's over, I'm going to resume that, making content for you guys. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram. I post a lot of different content amongst those different mediums, so check it out and hit that like button if you guys have liked this live stream. And we'll see you guys next time.